All right. And we're live in a Facebook group. And we're even live on the gram. Wow, no issues. Love it today, StreamYard. And let's do it. Sweet, sweet. We are live. We are live. So, what I want to talk about today is how we can simplify sales when selling a high ticket offers. Okay, this live is going to be for you if you are an online health coach. You could be a health coach helping people with fat loss. You can be a health coach helping people with building muscle. You can be a health coach that helps people with autoimmune or fibroids or PCOS or menopause. If you're a niche health coach that you sell a premium offer that has a high level of value, but oftentimes you're feeling like you can be getting a little bit of pushback or feeling like sales just get so overcomplicated, this is going to be for you. All right. So listen, if you're one of those coaches, what I want you to do is drop a 1 in the chat, or just let us know exactly what you do. Like, what type of coach are you? Feel free to drop where you're from. If you're a fat loss coach, feel free to drop that. If you are a productivity peak performance coach, anything along the lines of a science driven transformation, I want you to go ahead and drop that inside of the chat, right? And so we're going to talk about why, when you have dope content, you're a dope person, you got a dope offer, it still feels like you got to pull teeth with people when it's being sold, right? And this is going to be for you if you feel like, I'm gonna go through a list of some common challenges that I've personally experienced when selling health offers, as well as you guys might experience. And you guys ever feel like, drop a 1 in the chat if you ever feel like you're having a great conversation with somebody around helping them with their health and their transformation. Everything is going good, and as soon as you drop the price for your program, it gets super weird. Like, it is super weird. It's like they turn to a different person sometimes. All right. Let me know if you've ever had a similar experience to that. I want you to drop a 1 in the chat. Okay. Let me know if, when selling your offer, sometimes you kind of just feel like you turn into like a life coach, right? Just because your offer seems to be a little bit out of budget from what the client had expected. And now all of a sudden, people's trauma just get pulled all into the call, and it makes you feel like super drained. And it makes you feel like you're doing the job of a therapist, but you're not a therapist. And we work with therapists as well, guys. So we work with therapists looking to turn into mental health coaches. But if that's an experience that you've had, like you feel like you turn into a therapist or life coach when it's time to help somebody make a decision around getting help with their transformation, you've had that experience. Put it three in the chat if you've ever felt like you have to turn into some sort of financial advisor when it comes to helping somebody make a decision to get help with their health, right? Like, your $1,500 program seems to be like this life altering decision, but then they also tell you like how they got a vacation coming up that costs probably 2 times that amount. Or, when they tell you about all the different things that they spend money on, you kind of have to have this real conversation about how much you're spending money on things that don't matter and aren't helping them where they're at in their life. We all know how that feels. If that experience could be like, drop a me in the chat if you felt like you've experienced all these things in your sales calls. And sometimes, even with you going to that extent to help somebody make a decision, they still don't buy. Right? They still don't buy. And it makes you feel like you're in this space of having to convince people of your value, right? It makes you feel like you're in this space of having to sort of convince people of, the value in themselves, right? You have to, like, sometimes play tooth and nail. And sometimes the worst part is this can even happen with ideal clients and prospects, right? And so most times the reason why we're dealing with this is because we haven't figured out a way that allows people to make healthy and empowered decisions around getting help through our sales process. And so, a lot of guys often say, oh, and maybe I need to lower my prices, right? People can't afford me. Maybe you have a 1K, 2K, maybe 3K, 4K, maybe even 5K program. That's not true. affordability is absolutely subjective, and people will like nobody affords most 90 or 80% of Americans don't like finance their first car. You can't afford that car. You find value in it though, right? People um will find ways to acquire what they cannot afford cash in that moment. So affordability is very subjective. Affordability can mean different things to different people. And at the end of the day, in the presence of value and transformation, people will figure out how to make things happen. Right. Now the challenge is a lot of times you guys are trying to sell people who are not yet in a position to make a decision. So they're still in this process, right? A lot of times they have limiting beliefs, right? A lot of times they may not be able to fully understand the value. And so when we're not aware of these things, we start to go into like the convincing game, or we become hyper salesy because some random sales mentor told you guys to tell people, well, what do you need to think about? Right? Don't ever do that, by the way, guys. But I'm gonna give you guys a little bit of insight as to what helped me sell multiple six figures in my health coaching offer, as well as what I use to help my clients, work towards doing the same thing. Okay. And so I remember, I think this is either in third or fourth grade. I want to say it was in third grade. And at the time, I was a pretty smart little pupil, smart little Elijah in class. And I started hanging around with my friends, and I started going through every single phase that young boys go through, right? It's the acceptance phase. And so I was the kid in class, always got my work done. I was a little bit nerdy, right? I was very studious, right? However, my friends at the time, they're starting to go through their phases where it's cool to be like a goofball in a class and be defiant of the teacher, and make laughs and joke and burp and just kind of like not be as in tune and as studious. And so, like most young boys, I had a choice to make. And because of my desire for being young and wanting to be accepted in social validation, I chose to start doing what my goofball little friends was doing. So I'm burping in class, I'm making jokes, we cutting the teacher off, we're just having a good old golly time, right? And then here's where I fumbled. I decided one day that I wasn't going to finish a quiz in class. So teacher, knowing, she's got like this little bit of favor for me, so to speak. And so she's like, nah, something's up here. So she calls home, she immediately snitches on me. Immediately. Like, listen, Elijah, he's one of my best students. He's hanging out with some of the other students in class. He's burping in class. He's making jokes. He's not paying attention. And today he decided he just wasn't going to do his quiz. And so there it started. I come home to meet my Trinidadian grandmother and my mother, both sitting in the kitchen at the table, intercession style. And they're looking at me, and I just get railed. I just get railed. What are you doing? Like, why are you messing up? Why are you not paying attention? You think this and that. I'm just getting railed, right? Grandma, oh gosh, Elijah, you can't be one of those boys who choose the streets. It was just crazy. Like all over a field test, right? So I'm getting railed for probably like 15 minutes. And at the time, my uncle, he's sitting in the kitchen. My uncle's in I think he was in either late high school or college. My uncle was a football player. He was always into his shape. He was always into his health. So he's just sitting in there making a smoothie while I'm getting blacked on. And he's like, bro, I can't help you. But then my mom, after giving me 15 minutes of you better get this together or else, they leave the kitchen. My uncle comes up to me. He's like, yo, Elijah, what's going on? I'm like, he's like, why are you why you messing up in class? And I was like, well, I didn't want to take the quiz because I don't want to be a nerd. That's what I said. And he looked at me. He said, okay. And he goes, like, wow, what's up with that? He was like, well, I'm not trying to be a nerd. Like, the girls don't like the nerdy guys, right? Because again, I'm in like third or fourth grade. He's like, okay. And he was like, so you want to be able to like get girls, right? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, and is that like for right now? Or is it like just like, you want to grow into like the type of man that can get girls? I'm like, yeah, for sure. He's like, yeah, well, the type of guys that get girls are the type of guys that have actually become something in life, like doctors and engineers, and they're successful. And the guys that really struggle are bums. Mind you, guys, I'm just telling you the perspective that my uncle gave me at the time, which is a really good perspective. And I'm telling you guys why. And he was like, Bums are the guys that think that school is not cool. They don't go to class. They joke around and they don't end up becoming nothing for themselves. He's like, you said you want the girls, but do you want to be a bum? I'm like, no. He's like, so how do you think you should be acting in school then? He's like, and I was like, well, I think I should be doing my test and paying attention. He's like, okay. And from that moment on, I was pretty much an honor student all the way up to high school. High school, I became an AP student. And the reason why this is so significant is because what happened was I had to make a decision as a young boy of what type of student I was going to be. And because my uncle asked me some proper questions to arrive at the value and the decision of just getting back on track with my stuff myself, it allowed me to make an empowered decision based on where I wanted to go. Now, why is this so important, guys? Because if you pay attention to the story, grandma and moms, they was trying to convince me. Okay. They was like, you better do this and you need to do this. And I'm just like, I ain't hearing it. But my uncle, all he did was position what I wanted and ask me some questions that allowed me to sell myself on the honors kid version of Elijah all the way up until high school. And so it wasn't until about 17 years later, where after I joined a sales mentorship, that I realized that what my uncle did for me is exactly the same thing that needs to be happening when we're selling our offers, which is allowing people to arrive at seeing value and making decisions themselves, not forcing, not convincing, not trying to overpower, not trying to corner in. So a lot of you guys right now, when it comes to selling your high ticket offers, because let's be honest, that's what it feels like sometimes when we're selling. We'll feel like we're speaking to a whole adult, and then we talk about money, and then people turn into little kids. It's all humans do it, right? Money makes people uncomfortable. Money is attached to a lot of people's limiting beliefs and traumas. And so when it's time to fork it up to get something that they desire, let's be honest. Sometimes people shrink into a little kid. And now what I'm not telling you to do is talk to people like they're a little kid. But what I am telling you to do is sometimes you need to be able to have a process in your sales process and in your conversation to allow people to arrive at decisions themselves. Because when people arrive at decisions themselves, they see the value and they feel empowered to make a decision. A lot of these sales coaches are telling you guys to sell your offer with force and brute. And all that ends up doing is bringing in the wrong type of clients, or you selling your offer and people getting cold feet and then asking you for a refund right after you made the close, and all different types of weird stuff that you just don't want to be experiencing when you're selling your offer and trying to grow your business. And so fundamentally, when you're selling a health coaching offer, which involves somebody investing to get help and support to do the work to change something in the right direction about their body and about their lifestyle, right? And it's commitment on the other side. The last thing that we want to be doing is forcing, right? Our last thing that we want to be doing is trying to convince. If you want to turn up your sales, you've got to be able to allow people to sell themselves. And so now the question is, okay, Tice, this makes sense. Like, well, what does this actually look like? Like, how do I get my clients to sell themselves? Well, here at Health Coach Growth, like what we do is we typically help coaches get people to sell themselves at 3 different levels, right? Your goal should be to get your audience to sell themselves on you in your content, right? It should be in your sales process or in your funnel. And then lastly, it should be in your sales conversation. See, most people, because we don't have a way to start getting our audience to see our value and sell themselves before our calls, we end up having sales calls that we have to do all of this. It's like we have all of this catch up to do in persuasion and convincing, and that's why it feels like selling your offer is just not a great experience. You know how many high ticket health coaches tell me, maybe I just can't sell my health at a high ticket. Like maybe people aren't willing to invest $1,000 in their health. It's not true. It's not true. But the problem is you feel that way because most of the times you don't start, people aren't sold on your value by the time they get to the point of your process where they need to make a decision or work with you. Right? And here's the thing, we can't force that. What we are to do is to be of a seer and of service and have a process where people are allowed to see value, where people are allowed to have epiphanies, right? And people are allowed to upgrade their perspective and mindset while they're in our process. Because here's the thing, when you help people, some of you guys got some dope offers. Some of you guys are bringing behavioral science and mental health into your training offer. So you're really tackling things at a holistic lens, but most people don't even know how to see the value there. Most people don't recognize that in order for me to get in shape, I'm not just going to have a diet plan and a workout plan, but I'm also probably going to have to work on my habits too. I'm also probably going to have to work on my mindset too. And if they're arriving at your core thinking that way, then they're not going to see value in your habit coaching. They're not going to see value in your mindset coaching, and they're not going to see value in the things that they actually need to make change. And so that's why when you drop your $1,500 offer, your 2K offer, they're thinking it was $150 because that's what they associate at the level of value of just a program and just a workout, or just like a detox, or just like, a plan. And so now you're trying to sell value here, and they're thinking of the value here. And in between is a bunch of convincing that just feels super draining, that turns you into a life coach, therapist, and financial coach all in one, just for them to still say, okay, let me get back to you next week. Guys, let me know if any of you guys are resonating with this. Let me know. I know this is definitely something that, my clients deal with. If you're selling high ticket already, like it's probably something that you've dealt with. We really help them navigate through it, right? But let me know if this is something that, if you guys are picking up what I'm putting down here, right? And so the biggest thing that you can do to make sales easier is have a process designed where people sell themselves. Now, if you resonate with that and you're trying to figure out what that looks like I said, here at Health Coach Growth, we help people do that at 3 levels, right? Number 1 is inside of your content and your positioning, right? How does your messaging show up in your content? Number 2 is inside of your sales process. I'm sorry. Number 1 is inside of your messaging. Number 2 is inside of your content. And number 3 is inside of your sales process. So when you think about your messaging, you're thinking about your offer and your niche. Is it something that people actually desire? Is it a problem that they have that they're looking to solve in this moment, right? When you start to look at your content, is your content aligned with the way that, people make buying decisions? Is it coming out in a way that create, the expertise in you? Are you becoming a sought out expert? Does your content allow people to trust in you? Right? And then lastly, your sales process. Is your sales process designed to help people get to a point where they see your value and they're ready to make a decision when it's time to have that conversation? And that can be done in multiple ways. We do it in a specific way. And if you're a coach that wants to learn about that, what we actually do is we offer a trial into how our process works. And typically what we do inside of this trial is, first thing that we do is we figure out where are the bottlenecks inside of your business. Because some people, when they come to us, they're not getting sales because they lack leads. Some of them need to make an offer. Some of them are already selling an offer, but their messaging is tweaked out. Some of them just need to make some basic tweaks to their sales process, right? And so it's all going to vary, right? Like where you're at in your business and the problem, that's the gaps that are getting you in front of sales. There's going to be some tactical and some strategical gaps. So I'm gonna give you an example. A tactical gap is like, hey, take those 100 links out of your bio and you'll probably start getting more book calls for your high ticket offer, right? So that's like a tactical gap, right? A strategical gap is, hey, you should probably be using the DMs to have conversations to qualify your clients. So that means you need to create a funnel and a content process that leads people to the DM. So that's like a strategic gap, right? And then we have principal gaps, such as, hey, you need to make sure that people are selling themselves before they get on a call with you. So based on where you're at, typically it involves something along that line, right? Again, a tactical gap could be like, hey, you just ain't getting enough leads. We're not putting enough content, or the way we're doing lead gen is broken, right? Strategical gap is, hey, your messaging is not speaking to people who actually have the money to buy your stuff. And so that's going to look different for everybody. But the first thing that we're going to do inside of this is give you a full audit of your business, so that way you can understand the bottlenecks. And then we're going to give you 5 days of coaching to work on what those bottlenecks are. So we've had clients come in, and within these first 5 days, they get access to some of our sales scripts. They're making sales, they're booking calls. We've had clients come in and completely be aware that they need to completely redo their messaging in their offer. We've had clients come in and say, okay, I know exactly that what I need, which is to get more book calls on my DMs. We've had clients come in and say, hey, you know what? I'm really just in self-sabotage mode, and I really need support and accountability around my mindset and my consistency. It really does look different for everybody. But the goal is that by the end of the 5 days that you work with us, you know exactly what that is and what type of support that is that you're going to need. And, of course, if that support aligns with what we have to offer, then we can just have that conversation. Right? We lead with a service. Well, Coach Shites, why do you give people 5 days of coaching? Because I lead with the Jesus business model, which is to be of service to others, even if it doesn't involve making sure that they buy with me. It's very simple. We can keep all the guru out of it. Like, that's just the way I rock. I'm very passionate about serving people and helping people become better business owners. And within this first 5 days of coaching, you're going to be able to learn, like, how to even identify what is a challenge in your sales, what isn't a challenge in your lead gen, what is a challenge inside of your business. So feel free to DM me trial, and we'll make sure we get you access to that. You're also going to get some content coaching inside of that trial and a couple other bonuses that we'll talk about once we have that conversation. And again, it could be a fit for you, could not. Just feel free to DM and we'll figure out if it's something that you need, and it's completely on the house, cost free. Now, real quick, guys, before we go, all right, we are rolling on our masterclass series, and our last messaging masterclass was a banger, so we're going to be bringing that back around. But I've been getting some requests to do some masterclasses around two or three specific things. I've been getting some requests to do masterclasses around sales. I've been getting some requests to be doing masterclasses around content. And honestly, not surprising, I've been getting some masterclasses, some requests to do a masterclass in an event around how to build a really dope product, like how to make sure your program is actually fire, right? So what I want to know from you guys is, when you hear those things, right? Sales, content, how to actually build a fire health coaching program, right? Let me know which one of those things are something that you would like to see, because we got a couple of ideas. We want to make sure we're gauging it based on what the people want. I know some of you guys right now are making sales and you're at the point where you do want to develop a better product, so that might be relevant for you guys. Some of you guys are like, yo, it's 2025. I need to learn how to sell my offer, and I want to sell it for more so I can make more impact, right? And make my business more viable. You might need to tap in with the sales masterclass, but we just want to see, we will kind of get a gauge. We're going to do some polling inside of the Facebook group, by the way. But we want to just know what you guys feel like you're gonna want and you're gonna need. Okay, so feel free to drop a comment when you hear about some free master classes. Do you need help with sales? Do you need help with your building your program out and what that looks like? Or do you need help with content? Okay. So listen, guys, I appreciate you guys for tapping in today. Again, listen, one of the biggest things that's going to help you sell more and grow more and make more money and make more impact is by allowing other people, the people that you help, right, to sell themselves and the value of how you can help. And if you want to learn more about that, just DM me trial. We'll get you in the trial. We can kind of go through them and you can see how that process can work for you. All right. So I appreciate y'all, fam. I'm in and out. And let me see if I got some comments here on Facebook. Yes, see, people sell themselves if you ask the right questions. Absolutely. Absolutely. We got that sales cycle. Yes, Eugene, you be knowing, man. You got to get them right in the sales cycle, right? What else? We got Facebook. Okay, Tay, fat loss, speed and endurance coach. Let's get it. Let's get it. Tay just tapped in with us. I'm excited for her. Cool, guys. Listen, I appreciate you for tapping in, and I'll be around. So my DMs are always open if you have any questions around messaging, around content, around sales to grow your high ticket health coaching business. Peace, fam.